Hello, everyone. Welcome back to English Flow State. I'm Natasha, and today we're going to master something that so many English learners find challenging: starting conversations. You know, I've taught thousands of students, and the number one thing they tell me is, Natasha, I know the grammar, I know the vocabulary, but when I need to start talking to someone, my mind goes completely blank. Does that sound familiar? Well, today, that changes. We're going to practice real conversation starters that native speakers use every single day. And by the end of this lesson, you'll feel confident walking up to anyone and starting a natural, comfortable conversation. Now, before we dive in, I want you to do something for me. Take a deep breath. Seriously, breathe in and breathe out. Starting conversations isn't about being perfect. It's about being brave enough to say that first word. And remember, every native speaker was once learning how to talk too. We all start somewhere. So let's start together right now. Let's begin with the most basic, most universal conversation starter in the English language, talking about the weather. Now, I know what you're thinking. Natasha, the weather? Really? That's so boring. But here's the secret. Native speakers use weather talk all the time, not because we're obsessed with clouds and rain, but because it's safe, it's easy, and it gives both people a chance to relax into the conversation. Think of it like a warm-up before exercise. You don't start sprinting immediately, right? You stretch, you warm up. Weather talk is conversational stretching. So let's practice. Imagine you're standing in an elevator with a colleague you don't know very well. It's a bit awkward. Silence. What do you say? Try this. Nice weather today, isn't it? Repeat after me. Nice weather today, isn't it? Good. Now notice something important here. I didn't just say, nice weather today. I added, isn't it, at the end. That little question tag makes it conversational. It invites the other person to respond. You're not just making a statement into the void. You're opening a door and asking them to walk through it with you. Let's try another one. It's raining outside, and you're in a coffee shop. Someone walks in, shaking off their umbrella. You could say, terrible weather out there, huh? Repeat, terrible weather out there, huh? Perfect. Again, notice that huh at the end. It's casual, friendly, and it signals, hey, we're both experiencing this together. Let's acknowledge it. Now let's level up. Instead of just commenting on the weather, let's add a personal touch. Try this. I love this sunny weather. It always puts me in a good mood. How about you? Repeat after me. I love this sunny weather. It always puts me in a good mood. How about you? Excellent. See what we did there? We started with a simple observation, then we shared something personal, then we invited the other person to share too. That's the formula. Observe, share, invite. Write that down. Observe, share, invite. Let's practice that formula with different scenarios. Imagine you're at a bus stop and the bus is late. Everyone's looking frustrated. You could turn to the person next to you and say, this bus is always late on Mondays. Drives me crazy. Do you take this route often? Repeat. This bus is always late on Mondays. Drives me crazy. Do you take this route often? Good work. You observed the situation, you shared your feeling, and you invited them into conversation with a question. Now, let's move beyond weather. Another fantastic conversation starter is giving compliments. People love compliments. But here's the key. They need to be genuine and specific. Don't just say, nice shirt. That's too generic. Instead, say something like, I really like your jacket. The color is great. Where did you get it? Repeat after me. I really like your jacket. The color is great. Where did you get it? Perfect. Notice how specific we were. We mentioned the jacket, we mentioned the color, and then we asked a question. This keeps the conversation flowing. Let's try another compliment scenario. You're at work and a coworker just gave a presentation. You want to start a conversation with them. Try this. Great presentation today. I especially liked your point about teamwork. How long did it take you to prepare? Repeat. Great presentation today. I especially liked your point about teamwork. How long did it take you to prepare? Excellent. You complimented them, you showed you were actually paying attention by mentioning something specific, and you asked a follow-up question. Here's a pro tip for you. When you compliment someone, look them in the eye and smile. Body language is just as important as the words you use. A genuine smile tells the other person, I mean this, I'm being sincere, and that sincerity is what makes people want to continue talking to you. Now, let's talk about one of my favorite conversation starters, asking for help or advice. This is brilliant because people naturally love to help others. It makes them feel valued and knowledgeable. So if you're in a new place or trying something new, don't be afraid to ask. For example, you're in a restaurant you've never been to before. You could turn to someone nearby and say, excuse me, have you eaten here before? What do you recommend? Repeat after me. Excuse me, have you eaten here before? What do you recommend? Nice. You've just started a conversation, and chances are that person will be happy to share their favorite dish with you. Let's try another one. You're in a bookstore, browsing the same section as another person. You could say, I'm looking for a good mystery novel. Have you read anything good lately? Repeat. I'm looking for a good mystery novel. Have you read anything good lately? Perfect. You've identified a shared interest, books, and you've asked for their opinion. People love sharing their opinions. Here's something important I want you to remember. When you ask someone for advice or recommendations, actually listen to their answer. Don't just ask the question and then zone out. Nod, make eye contact, and respond with things like, oh really? Or, that sounds interesting. Or, I'll have to try that. These little responses show you're engaged, and they keep the conversation alive. Now let's practice starting conversations in specific situations. First, let's imagine you're at a social gathering, maybe a party or a networking event. These can feel intimidating, right? Everyone seems to already know each other, and you're standing there with your drink, trying to look casual. Here's what you do. Find someone else who's standing alone, or join a small group that looks welcoming. Walk up with confidence, fake it if you have to, and say something like, Hi, I'm Natasha. I don't think we've met before. How do you know the host? Repeat after me. Hi, I'm Natasha. I don't think we've met before. How do you know the host? Good. This is a perfect party opener because it introduces you, acknowledges that you're new to each other, and asks a relevant question that's easy to answer. Let's try another party scenario. You see someone standing near the food table. You walk over and say, Everything looks delicious. Have you tried anything yet? Repeat. Everything looks delicious. Have you tried anything yet? Excellent. You're using the shared experience, the food, as your conversation bridge. What about professional situations? Let's say you're at a conference and you want to network. You sit down next to someone during a break. Try this. Hi, I'm Natasha. That last session was really interesting. What did you think? Repeat after me. Hi, I'm Natasha. That last session was really interesting. What did you think? Perfect. You've introduced yourself, made a positive comment, and asked for their opinion. This is professional, friendly, and it naturally leads to more conversation about your industry or field. Here's another professional scenario. You're in a waiting room before a job interview, and there's another candidate sitting near you. You could say, Nervous? This is my first interview here. How about you? Repeat. Nervous? This is my first interview here. How about you? Nice work. You've created a moment of shared vulnerability, which actually helps both of you relax.
Now let's talk about starting conversations with people you see regularly but don't really know, like neighbors or people at your gym or the barista at your regular coffee shop. These are what I call familiar strangers. You see them all the time, but you've never actually talked. Here's the thing. These are some of the easiest conversations to start because you already have something in common, the place or routine you share. Let's practice. You see your neighbor getting their mail. You're getting yours too. Perfect opportunity. Try saying, Hey, how's it going? I think we live on the same floor, but we've never officially met. I'm Natasha. Repeat after me. Hey, how's it going? I think we live on the same floor, but we've never officially met. I'm Natasha. Good. You've acknowledged the shared space, introduced yourself, and kept it casual with, Hey, how's it going? Another neighbor scenario. You're both taking out the trash at the same time. You could say, Looks like we had the same idea. Trash day always sneaks up on me. How long have you lived here? Repeat. Looks like we had the same idea. Trash day always sneaks up on me. How long have you lived here? Excellent. You made a light joke about trash day, which creates a friendly tone, and then asked a simple question. What about at the gym? You see the same person on the treadmill next to you every morning. One day you could say, I see you here every morning. You're really dedicated. Are you training for something? Repeat after me. I see you here every morning. You're really dedicated. Are you training for something? Perfect. You complimented their consistency and you asked about their goals. Most people love talking about their fitness goals. Let's try a coffee shop scenario. You go to the same cafe every day and the barista always makes your drink. Today, try saying, You always make the best cappuccino. How long have you been working here? Repeat. You always make the best cappuccino. How long have you been working here? Nice. You complimented their skill, which makes them feel good, and you showed genuine interest in them as a person. Here's something crucial I need to tell you about starting conversations. Timing matters. There are good times and bad times to start talking to someone. Good times, when people look relaxed, when they're not rushing, when they're in a social setting, when they make eye contact with you first. Bad times, when someone has headphones in, when they're clearly focused on something like their phone or a book, when they look stressed or in a hurry, or when they're in a place where privacy is expected, like a bathroom or during a serious meeting. Reading social cues is just as important as the words you say. If you say hello and someone gives you a short answer and looks away, that's a signal they're not interested in chatting. And that's okay. Don't take it personally. Just smile, say have a good day, and move on. Not everyone wants to talk all the time, and that's completely normal. But when someone does want to talk, you'll know. They'll make eye contact, they'll smile back, their body will turn toward you, and they'll give you longer answers. When you see these signs, that's your green light to keep the conversation going. Now let's practice some conversation starters for specific common situations. Situation 1, you're waiting in line. Lines are perfect for casual conversation because everyone's stuck there anyway. Try this. This line is moving pretty slowly. Have you been waiting long? Repeat after me. This line is moving pretty slowly. Have you been waiting long? Good. It's a simple observation and a question. Easy, natural. Another line scenario. You're at a grocery store and the person in front of you has an interesting item in their cart, maybe some exotic fruit you've never seen. You could say, "Excuse me, what is that? I've never seen it before. Is it good?" Repeat. "Excuse me, what is that? I've never seen it before. Is it good?" Perfect. You're showing curiosity, which is flattering, and you're asking for their opinion. Situation 2. You're on public transportation. Someone sits down next to you with a book you've read. Try saying, "Oh, I love that book. Are you enjoying it?" Repeat after me. "Oh, I love that book. Are you enjoying it?" Excellent. Shared interests are golden conversation starters. Another public transportation scenario. The train or bus is delayed, and everyone's looking frustrated. You could turn to the person next to you and say, "Do you know what's going on? I have a meeting in 30 minutes. Repeat. "Do you know what's going on? I have a meeting in 30 minutes. Good. You're creating a shared frustration moment, which actually bonds people. Situation 3. You're at a dog park with your dog. This is almost too easy because dog owners love talking about their dogs. Walk up to someone and say, "Your dog is adorable. What breed is that?" Repeat after me. "Your dog is adorable. What breed is that?" Nice. Compliment the dog, ask a question, and you're in. Another dog park line. "Our dogs seem to be getting along great. How old is yours?" Repeat. "Our dogs seem to be getting along great. How old is yours?" Perfect. You've observed something happening right now, and you've asked an easy question. Situation 4. You're at a concert or sports event. Turn to the person next to you and say, "This is so exciting. Is this your first time seeing them?" Repeat after me. "This is so exciting. Is this your first time seeing them?" Good energy there. You're sharing enthusiasm, which is contagious. Another event scenario. The band or team does something amazing. Everyone cheers. You turn to someone nearby and say, "That was incredible. Are you a big fan?" Repeat. "That was incredible. Are you a big fan?" Excellent. You're riding the wave of collective excitement. Now let's talk about what to do after that first sentence, because starting the conversation is just step 1. You need to keep it going. This is where many learners panic. They manage to say hello, but then silence. Awkward silence. So here's your toolkit for keeping conversations alive. Tool number 1, ask open-ended questions. What's an open-ended question? It's a question that can't be answered with just yes or no. Instead of asking, "Did you like the movie?" ask, "What did you think of the movie?" Instead of, "Do you work nearby?" ask, "What brings you to this area?" Open-ended questions require longer answers, which gives you more material to work with. Let's practice. I'll give you a closed question and you transform it into an open one. Closed. Do you like your job? Open. What do you like most about your job? Repeat after me. What do you like most about your job? Good. Closed. Are you from here? Open. Where are you from originally? Repeat. Where are you from originally? Perfect. See the difference? Open questions invite stories, not just facts. Tool number 2, use the FORD method. FORD stands for family, occupation, recreation, dreams. These are 4 safe, interesting topics you can ask about. Family. Do you have any siblings? Occupation. What do you do for work? Recreation. What do you like to do for fun? Dreams. What are you hoping to do this year? These topics work in almost any casual conversation. Let's practice FORD questions. Family question. Are you close with your family? Repeat after me. Are you close with your family? Good. Occupation question. How did you get into that field? Repeat. How did you get into that field? Nice. Recreation question. What do you do to relax after a long day? Repeat. What do you do to relax after a long day? Excellent. Dreams question. If you could travel anywhere next year, where would you go? Repeat. If you could travel anywhere next year, where would you go? Perfect. Tool number 3, active listening and follow-up questions. This is so important. When someone answers your question, really listen. Then ask a follow-up based on what they just said. For example, they say, "I'm a teacher." Don't just say, "Oh, cool," and then change the subject. Instead, ask, "What grade do you teach?" Or "What made you want to become a teacher?" This shows you're genuinely interested. Let's practice active listening. I'll say something and you create a follow-up question. I say, "I just got back from Japan." You could ask, "Wow, how was it? What was your favorite part?"
Repeat after me. Wow, how was it? What was your favorite part? Good. I say, I'm training for a marathon. You ask, that's impressive. Is this your first one? Repeat. That's impressive. Is this your first one? Excellent. Tool number 4. Share something about yourself. Conversations are a two-way street. If you just ask questions, it can feel like an interview. So after you ask something and they answer, share your own related experience. For example, they tell you about their trip to Japan. You could say, that sounds amazing. I've always wanted to visit Japan. I'm fascinated by the culture. Have you been anywhere else in Asia? See what I did? I shared my interest, then asked another question to keep it going.
Let's practice that sharing technique. Someone tells you they love hiking. You respond, I love hiking too. There's something so peaceful about being in nature. Where's your favorite place to hike? Repeat after me. I love hiking too. There's something so peaceful about being in nature. Where's your favorite place to hike? Perfect. You related to their interest, added a personal touch, and asked a follow-up question. Another example. They mentioned they're learning to cook. You say, that's great. I've been trying to cook more at home too. It's harder than it looks. What's the most challenging dish you've tried? Repeat. That's great. I've been trying to cook more at home too. It's harder than it looks. What's the most challenging dish you've tried? Excellent. You created common ground and showed vulnerability, which makes you more relatable. Now, let's talk about something that makes many English learners nervous: small talk. You might think small talk is meaningless, but it's actually incredibly important in English-speaking cultures. Small talk is how we build rapport, how we show we're friendly and approachable, and how we transition into deeper conversations. Think of small talk as the appetizer before the main course. Common small talk topics include the weather, we already covered that, current events, but avoid controversial politics or religion unless you know the person well, hobbies and interests, weekend plans, food and restaurants, movies and TV shows, travel experiences, and sports if you're into that. Let's practice some small talk starters. Topic, weekend plans. Try saying, do you have any fun plans for the weekend? Repeat after me. Do you have any fun plans for the weekend? Good. This is a classic Friday conversation starter at work. Topic, food. You're at lunch with colleagues. Say, has anyone tried that new Italian restaurant downtown? I've been wanting to check it out. Repeat. Has anyone tried that new Italian restaurant downtown? I've been wanting to check it out. Nice. You're asking for opinions and showing interest in trying new things. Topic, TV shows. You heard people talking about a popular series. Jump in with, I keep hearing about that show. Is it really that good? I need something new to watch. Repeat after me. I keep hearing about that show. Is it really that good? I need something new to watch. Perfect. You're asking for recommendations, which people love to give. Travel. Someone mentions they just got back from vacation. Say, welcome back. How was your trip? I want to hear all about it. Repeat. Welcome back. How was your trip? I want to hear all about it. Excellent. You're showing genuine enthusiasm for their experience. Here's a small talk secret. The magic words are tell me about or tell me more about. These phrases are golden because they encourage people to share stories. Try these. Tell me about your new job. Tell me more about that hobby of yours. Tell me about your hometown. These invitations to share almost always lead to interesting conversations. Let's practice. Tell me about your experience living abroad. Repeat after me. Tell me about your experience living abroad. Good. Tell me more about what you do at work. Repeat. Tell me more about what you do at work. Perfect. Tell me about your family. Repeat. Tell me about your family. Nice work. Now, I want to address something important. What do you do when the conversation hits an awkward pause or silence? First, don't panic. Silences happen in every conversation, even between native speakers. A brief pause is natural. It gives both people time to think. But if the silence is stretching and feeling uncomfortable, here are some rescue strategies. Strategy 1. Circle back to something they mentioned earlier. For example, earlier they mentioned they have a dog. You could say, you mentioned you have a dog. What kind is it? This shows you were listening and gives the conversation a fresh direction. Strategy 2. Introduce a new topic with a transition phrase. Try, by the way, I've been meaning to ask you, or speaking of which, that reminds me, or on a different note. These phrases signal you're changing subjects, which is totally normal. Let's practice these transitions. By the way, I've been meaning to ask you,
how did you learn English so well? Repeat after me. By the way, I've been meaning to ask you, how did you learn English so well? Good. Speaking of which, that reminds me, have you seen the new cafe that opened? Repeat. Speaking of which, that reminds me, have you seen the new cafe that opened? Nice. Strategy 3. Make an observation about your surroundings. This works great when you're somewhere with things to look at. Look at that sunset, it's beautiful. Or, this place has such interesting architecture. Or, I love the music they're playing here. These comments can restart the conversation naturally. Strategy 4. Ask, what about you? This simple phrase is incredibly powerful. They asked you a question, you answered, and now you're bouncing it back. I'm from Chicago. What about you? I love mystery novels. What about you? I usually go hiking on weekends. What about you? It's simple, but it works. Now, let's talk about conversation enders. Yes, you need to know how to start conversations, but you also need to know how to end them gracefully. You can't talk forever, and sometimes you need to leave, or the other person needs to leave, or the conversation has naturally run its course. Here's how to exit smoothly. The polite exit formula is this: express enjoyment, give a reason if appropriate, make a future statement, and say goodbye. Let me show you. It was really nice talking to you. I should get going. I have a meeting in 10 minutes. Let's chat again soon. Take care. Repeat after me. It was really nice talking to you. I should get going. I have a meeting in 10 minutes. Let's chat again soon. Take care. Perfect. Another example. I've really enjoyed this conversation. I need to run and catch my train. Hope to see you around. Have a great day. Repeat. I've really enjoyed this conversation. I need to run and catch my train. Hope to see you around. Have a great day. Good work. Sometimes you don't have a specific reason to leave, and that's okay. You can keep it simple. Well, I should let you get back to your day. It was great meeting you. Take care. Repeat after me. Well, I should let you get back to your day. It was great meeting you. Take care. Excellent. If you want to continue the relationship, exchange contact information. Try, I'd love to continue this conversation sometime. Would you want to grab coffee next week? Can I get your number? Repeat. I'd love to continue this conversation sometime. Would you want to grab coffee next week? Can I get your number? Nice. Or in a professional context, this has been a valuable conversation. I'd like to stay in touch. Can I give you my business card? Repeat after me. This has been a valuable conversation. I'd like to stay in touch. Can I give you my business card? Perfect. Now, let's practice full conversation scenarios from start to finish. I'll set the scene and we'll go through it together. Scenario 1. You're at a coffee shop and someone sits at the table next to you. They have a laptop with stickers from different countries. Here's how you might start and develop the conversation. You. Excuse me, I love the stickers on your laptop. Have you traveled to all those places? They respond, thanks, yeah, I love to travel. I just got back from Thailand, actually. Oh wow, Thailand. I've always wanted to go there. What was it like? They share their experience. You listen actively, nod, respond with, that sounds amazing, or really? Then you share. I haven't traveled much internationally yet, but it's definitely on my bucket list. What made you decide to go to Thailand? They answer. You continue with follow-ups based on what they say. Eventually you might say, this has been such a great conversation. I need to get going, but it was really nice meeting you. Safe travels on your next adventure. And you've successfully had a complete conversation with a stranger.
Scenario 2. You're at a work conference during lunch break. You see someone sitting alone, and you decide to join them. Here's how it might go. You approach with, mind if I join you? It's nice to take a break from all the sessions. They say sure, and you sit down. You continue, I'm Natasha, by the way. Which session did you find most interesting so far? They tell you. You respond with, that's the one I went to as well. What did you think about the speaker's point on innovation? You discuss the topic. Then you might ask, so what brings you to the conference? What company are you with? They answer. You share your own information. I work in marketing at Tech Solutions. We're trying to improve our digital strategy, so I'm here to learn. How about you? The conversation flows naturally. When lunch is ending, you say, this was great. We should exchange cards. Maybe we can connect on LinkedIn. And there you have it, a professional networking conversation completed successfully. Scenario 3. You're at the gym and you notice someone is using a machine you want to use next. You walk over and say, hey, are you almost done with this machine? They say yes, just one more set. You say, no rush, take your time. I see you here pretty often. Do you have a regular workout schedule? They respond. You continue, that's dedication. I'm trying to be more consistent myself. How long have you been working out here? They share their fitness journey. You relate.
That's inspiring. I've been coming here for about 3 months now, still figuring out my routine. Do you have any tips for staying motivated? They give advice. You thank them genuinely. That's really helpful advice, thank you. I'm going to try that. By the way, I'm Natasha. They introduce themselves. The machine becomes free. You say, well, I'll let you finish up. Thanks for the chat and the tips. Maybe I'll see you around. Have a great workout. Conversation complete, and you've made a gym acquaintance. Scenario 4. You're on a plane, sitting next to someone for a long flight. This is a longer conversation opportunity, but you need to be respectful of their space and signals. You start simply after takeoff. Long flight ahead. Are you heading home or traveling for work? They answer. You gauge their interest. If they give short answers and look away, they probably want to be left alone. But if they give longer answers and ask you questions back, they're open to chatting. Let's say they're friendly. You continue. I'm actually heading home after visiting family. It's always bittersweet leaving. Do you travel often? They share. You ask, what's the most interesting place you've been? They tell you a story. You listen, respond, share your own travel stories. Time passes. Maybe you both get food. You comment, this airplane food is actually not bad. I've had worse. They laugh and agree. Eventually, one of you might want to read or sleep. You say, I think I'm going to try to get some rest. It was really nice talking to you. Enjoy the rest of your flight. Perfect. You had a pleasant conversation and ended it naturally when appropriate. Let me give you some specific phrases that native speakers use all the time to keep conversations flowing. These are conversational lubricants. They keep things smooth and natural. First, reaction phrases. When someone tells you something, don't just say okay or yes. Use these instead. No way for surprising news. That's awesome for good news. Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that for bad news. I can totally relate to that when you share an experience. That's so interesting when they share something new. Tell me more when you want them to elaborate. Let's practice these reactions. I say, I just got a promotion at work. You respond, that's awesome. Congratulations. Tell me about your new role. Repeat after me. That's awesome. Congratulations. Tell me about your new role. Perfect. I say, I've been feeling really stressed lately. You respond, oh no, I'm sorry to hear that. I can totally relate to that. What's been going on? Repeat, oh no, I'm sorry to hear that. I can totally relate to that. What's been going on? Excellent. These reactions show you're engaged and empathetic. Another set of useful phrases, agreement and validation. I know exactly what you mean. That makes total sense. I couldn't agree more. You're absolutely right. I never thought of it that way, but yeah. These phrases validate the other person's thoughts and feelings, which builds connection. Practice time. Someone says, I think remote work has changed everything about how we communicate. You respond, I know exactly what you mean. It's definitely a huge shift. How has it affected you? Repeat after me. I know exactly what you mean. It's definitely a huge shift. How has it affected you? Good. Someone says, I find networking events really intimidating. You respond, I couldn't agree more. It can be nerve-wracking. What do you find most challenging about them? Repeat, I couldn't agree more. It can be nerve-wracking. What do you find most challenging about them? Nice work. Now let's talk about conversation taboos, topics you should generally avoid when starting conversations with people you don't know well. These include deeply personal questions about relationships or family problems, questions about money, like salary or how much things cost, controversial political opinions unless you're at a political event, religious beliefs unless it comes up naturally and appropriately, someone's weight or appearance in ways that could be seen as judgmental, age, especially asking women their age, and highly negative or complaining topics that bring the mood down. Instead, stick to positive or neutral topics, at least at first. Once you know someone better and have established trust, you can go deeper. But when starting conversations, keep it light, friendly, and positive. Here's something I want you to understand about cultural differences in conversation. English-speaking cultures, particularly American and British cultures, tend to value small talk and light conversation with strangers. In some cultures, people don't talk to strangers at all unless necessary. So if you come from a culture where this feels strange, know that it's actually expected and appreciated in English-speaking countries. People won't think you're weird for starting a conversation. In fact, they'll probably think you're friendly and confident. However, there are also cultural nuances within English-speaking countries. Americans tend to be more open and casual about starting conversations with strangers. British people might be slightly more reserved, but they still appreciate politeness and light chat, especially about weather. Australians are generally friendly and laid back. Canadians are known for being polite and welcoming. The key is to be friendly, respectful, and read the room. Let's talk about body language and tone, because these are crucial for starting conversations successfully. You could have the perfect words, but if your body language is closed off or your tone is flat, people won't want to talk. Here's what open, friendly body language looks like. Shoulders relaxed, not hunched.
arms uncrossed or loosely crossed if you're comfortable, eye contact but not staring, a genuine smile, standing or sitting at a comfortable distance, not too close, not too far, and your body angled toward the person, showing you're engaged. Your tone should be warm, friendly, and genuine, not too loud, not too quiet. Speak clearly but naturally. Let your voice go up slightly at the end of questions to show you're asking, not demanding. And here's a secret. Match the other person's energy level. If they're excited and energetic, bring your energy up. If they're calm and soft-spoken, bring yours down a bit. This is called mirroring, and it happens naturally when people connect, but you can do it consciously too. Let me give you some confidence-building affirmations before we continue. Say these out loud with me. I am capable of starting conversations. Repeat. I am capable of starting conversations. Good. People enjoy talking to me. Repeat. People enjoy talking to me. Excellent. Every conversation is practice, and I'm getting better. Repeat. Every conversation is practice, and I'm getting better. Perfect. I have interesting things to say and share. Repeat. I have interesting things to say and share. Wonderful. Believe these things because they're true. Now, let's address some common fears and mistakes that English learners make when starting conversations. Fear number 1. What if they don't understand my accent? Listen to me carefully. Most native English speakers are used to different accents. English is a global language spoken by billions of people with thousands of different accents. Your accent is part of who you are. Speak clearly, but don't worry about sounding exactly like a native speaker. If someone doesn't understand something, they'll ask you to repeat it. That's normal. Just say it again, maybe a bit slower.
Fear number 2. What if I make a grammar mistake? Here's the truth. Native speakers make grammar mistakes all the time. We split infinitives, we end sentences with prepositions, we use me and him instead of he and I. The goal of conversation isn't perfect grammar, it's communication and connection. If people understand what you mean, you've succeeded. Don't let the fear of making mistakes stop you from speaking. Every mistake is a learning opportunity, and most people won't even notice small errors. Fear number 3. What if I run out of things to say? That's why we've been practicing all these questions and techniques. When you have a toolkit of conversation starters, follow-up questions, and topics, you'll always have something to say. And remember, conversation is not a performance where you need to entertain the other person constantly. It's a two-way exchange. If you run out of things to say, ask them a question. People love talking about themselves. Common mistake number 1, apologizing too much. Many English learners start conversations with, sorry to bother you, or sorry for my English, or sorry if this is a stupid question. Stop apologizing when you haven't done anything wrong. Instead of, sorry to bother you, but try, excuse me, do you have a moment? Instead of, sorry for my English, just speak. Your English is good enough to communicate, and that's what matters. Confidence is attractive. Apologizing constantly makes you seem unsure of yourself. Common mistake number 2, giving up too quickly. You say hello, the person gives a brief response, and you immediately end the conversation. Give it a chance. Ask a follow-up question. Sometimes people need a moment to warm up. The first response might be brief, but the second one could be more engaged. Don't assume someone doesn't want to talk just because their first answer was short. Common mistake number 3, interviewing instead of conversing. Remember, conversation is an exchange, not an interrogation. Don't just ask question after question. Share things about yourself too. The rhythm should be ask, listen, respond, share. Ask again. Not just ask, 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 ask. Common mistake number 4, not listening because you're too busy thinking about what to say next. I know it's tempting to plan your next sentence while the other person is talking, especially in a language that's not your first, but this makes you miss important details they're sharing. Force yourself to focus on what they're saying. Your response will be better if it's based on actually listening, even if you pause for a second to think before responding. Let's practice some challenging conversation scenarios now. Challenge 1. The person gives you a very brief, closed answer. You ask, how's your day going? They say, fine. Don't give up. Try, that's good. Are you doing anything interesting later? Repeat after me. That's good. Are you doing anything interesting later? Good. You acknowledge their answer and tried a different angle. Challenge 2. You accidentally say something awkward or inappropriate. Maybe you asked someone when their baby is due and they're not pregnant. Oops. Here's what you do. Apologize sincerely but briefly. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. That was inappropriate of me. Then move on. Don't dwell on it or keep apologizing. People appreciate a clean, sincere apology followed by moving forward. You might even lighten it with, let me try that again.
How are you doing today? Recover and redirect. Challenge 3. There's a language barrier. You don't understand what they said or they don't understand you. Don't panic. Say, I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Could you say it again? Or, let me try to explain that differently. Or even, my English isn't perfect, but I'm trying. Bear with me. Most people will be patient and helpful. They might even slow down or use simpler words to help you. Challenge 4. The conversation is becoming uncomfortable. Maybe the person is standing too close, or asking questions that feel too personal, or the topic has shifted to something you don't want to discuss. You have every right to end the conversation or redirect it. Try, I appreciate the chat, but I need to get going. Or, I'd rather not talk about that if that's okay. Hey, did you see the game last night? You can be polite and firm at the same time. Now, let me share some advanced conversation techniques when you're ready to level up. Technique 1. Call back humor. This is when you reference something from earlier in the conversation in a funny way. For example, early in the conversation, they mentioned they hate Mondays. Later, when you're saying goodbye on a Monday, you could say, well, good luck surviving the rest of this Monday, with a smile. This shows you were listening and creates a nice moment of connection. Technique 2. Vulnerable sharing. When appropriate, sharing something personal or vulnerable about yourself creates intimacy and trust. Not deeply traumatic things with strangers, but honest, relatable struggles. Like, I actually get really nervous at these events. I'm glad we started talking because it helps me relax. This kind of honesty is endearing and often makes the other person feel comfortable sharing too. Technique 3. Thoughtful compliments. Instead of generic compliments, give specific, meaningful ones. Not just nice presentation, but your presentation really made me think differently about customer service. The example you gave about the frustrated customer was especially powerful. Specific compliments show you are paying attention and genuinely appreciative. Technique 4. Finding unexpected commonalities. As you talk, actively look for things you have in common. When you find them, highlight them. Wait, you grew up in a small town too? I thought I was the only one here. What was that like for you? Shared experiences bond people quickly. Let's talk about digital conversation starters, because so much communication happens online now. The principles are similar, but there are some differences. When starting conversations via text, email, or social media, you don't have body language or tone to help you, so your words need to work harder. For professional emails, start with, Hi name, I hope this email finds you well. I'm reaching out because. For more casual messages, you might start with, Hey, long time no talk. How have you been? On social media, commenting on someone's post is a great conversation starter. Love this photo. Where was this taken? Or, great article. I especially agreed with your point about teamwork. When messaging someone you haven't talked to in a while, acknowledge the time gap. I know it's been a while, but I was thinking about you and wanted to reach out. How are things going? This shows awareness and care. For networking on platforms like LinkedIn, personalize your connection request. Hi name, I saw we both attended the marketing conference last month. I'd love to connect and stay in touch. Your session on digital strategy was excellent. Generic connection requests often get ignored, but personalized ones usually get accepted. Here's something important about online conversations. Respond in a reasonable time frame. Not instantly, which can seem desperate, but within a day if possible. And match their message length and tone. If they send you 3 sentences, don't respond with 1 word. If they're formal, stay formal. If they're casual, you can be casual too. Now let's practice putting everything together with some role-play scenarios. I want you to imagine yourself in these situations and think about how you'd respond. Scenario 1. You're at a bookstore, browsing the fiction section. Someone reaches for a book near you and accidentally bumps your arm. They say, Oh, sorry about that. This is your opening. You could respond, No worries at all. Are you a fan of this author? And you've turned an accidental bump into a conversation opportunity.
Scenario 2. You're at a restaurant waiting for your takeout order. Another person is waiting too. You've both been standing there for about 10 minutes, and it's taking longer than expected. You make eye contact and smile. Then you say, Looks like they're pretty busy tonight. Do you order from here often? They respond positively. You continue, This is actually my first time trying this place. A friend recommended it. What do you usually get? The conversation flows from there, and you've made waiting time more pleasant. Scenario 3. You're at a work training session, and during the break, you notice someone looking a bit lost or uncomfortable. You walk over and say, These sessions can be intense, right? I'm Natasha. Is this your first training here? They say yes, they're new. You continue, Welcome. I remember my first training. It's a lot to take in. Where are you working? Which department? You're being welcoming and helpful, which makes a great impression. Scenario 4. You're at a parent-teacher meeting at your child's school. You're early, and so is another parent.
You're both sitting in the hallway waiting. You turn to them and say, "Nervous? I always get a little anxious before these meetings, even though my kid's doing fine. Which class is your child in?" They tell you. You share about your child. You might discover your kids are in the same class, or same grade, or have the same teacher. Now you have something in common to discuss. Scenario 5. You're at the airport, and your flight is delayed. Everyone around you is frustrated. You're sitting near someone who keeps checking their phone and sighing. You say, "Flight delays are the worst. Where are you headed?" They tell you. You commiserate. "I hope we both make our connections. I'm going to Chicago for a wedding." What takes you there? You've created a shared frustration moment that actually brings people together. Let me share some power phrases that you can use in almost any conversation. These are versatile, natural, and they make you sound confident and friendly. Write these down. "That's a great question." Use this when someone asks you something thoughtful. It validates them and gives you a second to think. "I never thought about it that way." Use this when someone shares an interesting perspective. It shows you're open-minded. "That reminds me of." Use this to share a related story or experience. It creates connection. "How did you get interested in that?" Use this to show genuine curiosity. "What's your take on?" Use this to invite someone's opinion. "I've been wanting to ask you." Use this to show you've been thinking about them. "That must have been." Use this to acknowledge their experience with empathy. Let's practice using these power phrases. Someone says something insightful about climate change. You respond, "I never thought about it that way." "That's a really interesting perspective. What made you start thinking about this?" Repeat after me. "I never thought about it that way." "That's a really interesting perspective. What made you start thinking about this?" Excellent. Someone mentions they just started learning guitar. You say, "That's awesome. How did you get interested in that?" "I've always admired people who can play music." Repeat. "That's awesome. How did you get interested in that?" "I've always admired people who can play music." Perfect. Now, let's discuss conversation maintenance. Starting a conversation is one thing, but keeping it going and making it meaningful is another. Here's how to deepen conversations beyond surface-level small talk, when appropriate. Look for emotional words. When someone uses words like excited, frustrated, worried, or thrilled, that's your cue to go deeper. If they say, "I'm so excited about my new job," don't just say, "That's great." Ask, "What are you most excited about?" If they say, "I'm frustrated with this project," ask, "What's been the most challenging part?" Share vulnerabilities when they share theirs. If someone admits they're nervous about something, you can share a time you felt nervous too. This mutual vulnerability creates real connection. Listen for hints about what matters to them. If someone mentions their kids 3 times, their kids are important. Ask about them. If they light up talking about their garden, they love gardening. Show interest in what they care about. Use reflective listening. This means paraphrasing what they said to show you understand. "So it sounds like you're saying the job is great, but the commute is really wearing you down. Is that right?" This shows deep listening and invites them to elaborate. Here's a formula from memorable conversations. Start with small talk to warm up. Find common ground through questions and sharing. Go deeper on topics they care about. Share something meaningful about yourself. And end with genuine appreciation for the conversation and a concrete next step if appropriate, like exchanging contact information. Let me give you some specific conversation starters for different age groups, because what works with someone your age might not work with someone much older or younger. For talking with older people, ask about their experiences and wisdom. What was it like growing up in the 60s? Or what's the best advice you've ever received? Or how has the world changed since you were my age? Older people often have fascinating stories and appreciate being asked about their perspectives. For talking with younger people, especially if you're older, show genuine interest without being condescending. What are you studying in school? Or what do you like to do for fun? Or what apps are popular with your friends? I'm trying to stay current. Don't try too hard to be cool, but show respect for their interests and opinions. For talking with peers, your own age group, you can be more casual and direct. What do you do for work? Or what did you do this weekend? Or have you seen any good movies lately? With peers, you can jump into topics more quickly because you likely share cultural references and life stages. Now, let's talk about humor in conversations. Humor is wonderful for building rapport, but it can be tricky, especially in a second language. Here's my advice. Start with gentle, self-deprecating humor that's not too harsh on yourself. "I tried to cook a fancy dinner last night. Let's just say the smoke alarm got more excited than my family." This kind of humor is safe because you're laughing at yourself, not at others. Avoid sarcasm until you know someone well, because it can be misunderstood. Avoid jokes about sensitive topics like religion, politics, appearance, or ethnicity. And if a joke doesn't land, don't panic. Just smile and move on. Not every joke needs to be hilarious. Let's practice some light humor. You're at a fitness class and it's really hard.
During a break, you might say to someone nearby, "Is it supposed to hurt this much, or am I doing it wrong? Either way, I'm definitely feeling it." Repeat after me. "Is it supposed to hurt this much, or am I doing it wrong? Either way, I'm definitely feeling it." Good. That's light, relatable humor. You're at work, and the printer jams for the third time. You say to a colleague, "I think this printer has a personal vendetta against me. We need to have a serious conversation." Repeat. "I think this printer has a personal vendetta against me. We need to have a serious conversation." Nice. That's playful and relatable. Here's something crucial about conversation skills. They improve with practice. Every single conversation you have is practice. Even if it doesn't go perfectly, you're learning. Maybe you'll think of a better response later. That's okay. Next time you'll remember. Maybe you'll feel awkward or stumble over your words. That's okay too. It happens to everyone. The key is to keep trying. Keep putting yourself in situations where you need to start conversations. Set yourself goals. This week, start 3 conversations with strangers. Next week, start 5. The week after that, try starting conversations in different settings. At work, at a store, at a social event. Build your confidence gradually.
Scenario 6. You're at a community event, maybe a local fair or farmer's market. You see someone admiring the same vendor's products as you. You say, "These handmade soaps smell amazing, don't they? Have you been to this market before?" They respond. You continue, "This is my first time here. I'm trying to support more local businesses. Do you come here often?" They might recommend other vendors or products. You thank them for the tips and continue browsing together or separately, depending on the natural flow. Let's talk about conversation confidence boosters. These are mental strategies to help you feel more confident before and during conversations. First, positive visualization. Before you go to a social event or situation where you'll need to start conversations, close your eyes and visualize it going well. See yourself smiling, speaking clearly, the other person responding positively. Your brain doesn't fully distinguish between visualization and reality, so this actually helps prepare you. Second, power posing. Before you need to start a conversation, stand in a confident pose for 2 minutes, shoulders back, chin up, hands on hips like a superhero, or arms raised in victory. Research shows this actually changes your hormone levels and makes you feel more confident. Do this in private, of course, maybe in a bathroom or your car before an event. Third, positive self-talk. Replace "I'm terrible at starting conversations" with "I'm learning to start conversations and I'm getting better every time." Replace "They probably don't want to talk to me" with "They might enjoy meeting someone new." Your internal dialogue shapes your reality. Fourth, remember past successes. Think about times when conversations went well. Hold on to those memories. They prove you can do this. If you've successfully started one conversation in your life, you can start another. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, technology and its impact on conversation skills. Many people, not just English learners, are finding face-to-face conversations harder because we're so used to texting and social media. Behind screens, we have time to think, edit, and craft our messages. In person, it's immediate and real. But here's the thing. In-person conversations are more rewarding. They create deeper connections. They allow for nuance, humor, emotion, and spontaneity that text can't fully capture. So use technology as a tool, not a replacement. Practice conversations in person whenever possible. When you're with people, put your phone away, make eye contact, be present. These face-to-face skills are becoming rare, which means they're becoming more valuable. People who can confidently start and maintain in-person conversations stand out in a good way. Let me give you some conversation exercises you can do to improve your skills. Exercise 1, the Daily Stranger Challenge. Every day, start one small conversation with a stranger. It doesn't have to be long. Just ask the cashier how their day is going, or comment on the weather to someone waiting at the bus stop, or compliment someone's dog at the park. Small daily practice builds confidence. Exercise 2, the question game. With a friend or language partner, practice asking each other open-ended questions. Set a timer for 5 minutes. During that time, one person asks questions, the other answers, then switch. This helps you get comfortable with the rhythm of questioning and responding. Exercise 3, shadowing conversations. Watch English TV shows or movies and pay attention to how characters start and maintain conversations. Pause and repeat their lines. Notice their body language, tone, and word choices. This is passive learning that helps you internalize natural conversation patterns. Exercise 4, the recording practice. Record yourself speaking, pretending to start a conversation. Listen back. How do you sound? Too fast? Too quiet? Too apologetic?
Adjust and try again. This helps you become aware of your speaking habits. Exercise 5, conversation journaling. After you have a conversation, write down what went well and what you could improve. Did you ask enough questions? Did you share about yourself? Did you listen actively? This reflection helps you learn from each experience. Let's talk about conversation in different English-speaking countries, because there are cultural nuances worth knowing. In the United States, people are generally direct and friendly. It's completely normal to start conversations with strangers. Americans often ask, "How are you?" as a greeting, not expecting a detailed answer. Just say, "Good, how are you?" and move on. Americans also tend to be optimistic and positive in casual conversation, so matching that energy helps. In the United Kingdom, people can be more reserved, especially in cities like London. However, queuing culture means you might find yourself in line with someone for a long time, which creates conversation opportunities. British humor tends to be more sarcastic and self-deprecating. And yes, the weather really is a major conversation topic because it changes so frequently. Complaining about rain or cold is practically a national pastime and a social bonding experience. In Australia, people are known for being laid back and friendly. Australians often use casual language and abbreviations. How you going means how are you. Starting conversations in casual settings like beaches, barbecues, or sports events is very common. Australians appreciate directness and humor. In Canada, people are generally polite and welcoming. Saying sorry a lot is normal, even when it's not your fault. This isn't weakness, it's a cultural politeness marker. Canadians value inclusivity and are usually happy to chat with newcomers or visitors. Understanding these cultural differences helps you adjust your approach depending on where you are. But remember, the fundamentals of good conversation, friendliness, genuine interest, active listening, and respect, are universal. Let's talk about conversation killers, things that stop conversations dead in their tracks. Avoid these. Killer 1, one-word answers. If someone asks you a question, elaborate a little. Don't just say yes or no. Give them something to work with. Killer 2, constant negativity. Complaining occasionally is fine and even bonding, but if everything you say is negative, people will avoid you. Balance any complaints with positive or neutral comments. Killer 3, dominating the conversation. If you talk for 5 minutes straight without letting the other person speak, that's a monologue, not a conversation. Check yourself. Are you asking questions? Are you giving them space to talk? Killer 4, looking at your phone. This is probably the biggest conversation killer in modern times. When you're talking to someone, put your phone away. Looking at it constantly tells them they're not important or interesting enough to hold your attention. Killer 5, interrupting constantly. Let people finish their thoughts. Yes, sometimes conversations overlap naturally, but if you're cutting people off repeatedly, that's rude and frustrating. Killer 6, inappropriate topics too soon. Don't ask personal questions about money, relationships, health issues, or other sensitive topics when you've just met someone. Build trust first. Now let me share some conversation recovery techniques when things go wrong. Maybe you said something awkward, or there's a long silence, or you accidentally offended someone. Recovery technique 1, acknowledge it with humor. Well, that came out wrong. Let me try again. People appreciate honesty and the ability to laugh at yourself. Recovery technique 2, apologize sincerely if needed. I'm sorry, that was insensitive of me. I didn't mean it that way. Then move forward. Don't dwell on it endlessly. Recovery technique 3, change the subject gracefully. Anyway, tell me about, or on a completely different note. This signals you're moving on, and usually the other person is relieved to move on too. Recovery technique 4, ask for help. I feel like I'm not explaining this well. Does this make sense? People usually appreciate vulnerability and will help clarify.
Let me wrap this up with some final thoughts and encouragement. You've learned so much today. We've covered conversation starters for every situation imaginable, weather talk, compliments, asking for advice, networking events, casual encounters, professional settings, and more. We've practiced the observe, share, invite formula. We've learned about the Ford method. We've explored how to keep conversations flowing with open-ended questions, active listening, and genuine sharing. We've discussed how to end conversations gracefully and how to recover when things go wrong. But here's what I really want you to remember. Starting conversations isn't about memorizing perfect scripts. It's about being genuinely interested in other people. It's about being brave enough to say hello. It's about recognizing that most people want connection just as much as you do. Behind every face you see is someone with their own hopes, dreams, fears, and stories. When you start a conversation, you're not bothering someone. You're offering them a moment of human connection in a world that sometimes feels disconnected. Your English doesn't need to be perfect. Your accent doesn't need to disappear. Your grammar can have mistakes. None of that matters as much as your willingness to try, your genuine smile, and your authentic interest in the person in front of you. I've seen students with intermediate English have amazing conversations because they were warm, curious, and present. I've also seen students with advanced English struggle because they were too worried about being perfect. So here's my challenge to you. Today, right now, after you finish watching this video, I want you to start one conversation. Just one. It can be tiny. Say hello to your neighbor. Ask the barista how their day is going. Comment on the weather to someone at the bus stop. Just do it once. Then tomorrow, do it again. And the next day, and the next. Build the habit. Build the confidence.
Each conversation is a small victory, a small act of courage. Remember, every person you admire for their social skills, every confident speaker you've ever met, they all started somewhere. They all had that first awkward conversation. They all felt nervous. The difference is they kept going. They practiced. They learned. And now you're doing the same thing. You have everything you need. You have conversation starters. You have follow-up questions. You have techniques for keeping conversations alive and ending them gracefully. You have strategies for different situations and different types of people. You have the knowledge. Now you just need the courage to use it. And I know you have that courage because you're here, learning, trying, growing. Before we finish, let me remind you of the core principles one more time. Be genuinely curious about people. Listen more than you talk. Ask open-ended questions. Share things about yourself too. Use positive body language. Smile. Make eye contact. Be present. Don't worry about being perfect. Focus on being authentic. And remember, conversation is a skill that improves with practice. Every conversation makes you better. One last thing. Be kind to yourself. If a conversation doesn't go well, don't beat yourself up. Learn from it and move on. Some conversations will flow beautifully. Others will be awkward. That's life. That's normal. Even native speakers have awkward conversations sometimes. What matters is that you tried. What matters is that you're putting yourself out there. That takes real courage, and you should be proud of yourself for that. I believe in you. I've seen thousands of students transform from nervous, silent learners into confident, engaging conversationalists. You can be one of them. You are one of them. Starting today, starting right now, you're someone who starts conversations. You're someone who connects with people. You're someone who brings warmth and curiosity into the world through the simple act of saying hello. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I hope you feel more confident, more prepared, and more excited about starting conversations in English. Remember, every expert was once a beginner. Every confident speaker was once nervous. The only difference between them and where you are now is practice and persistence. You've got this. Now go out there and start some conversations. Make some connections. Share some smiles. The world needs more people like you. People who are willing to reach out, say hello, and create moments of human connection. You're not just learning English. You're learning to connect with humanity. And that's beautiful. If you found this lesson helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to English Flow State for more practical English lessons, and leave a comment telling me about your first conversation after watching this video. I read every single comment, and I'd love to hear about your experience. And if you know someone who's learning English and struggles with starting conversations, share this video with them. Let's help each other grow. Until next time, keep practicing, keep growing, and keep flowing. I'm Natasha, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Take care, everyone.